Hey, Tasha.
Good evening, Cheron. How are
How
you?
are you?
Man, long time no see on here, right?
It's been a minute, right? We took 2 weeks off and we needed it for
I
sure.
needed it.
It is good to see. And you can see I kind of have a slightly different studio situation
I'm still
going on here.
cave over here.
All right. So let's just talk about where we've been for the last 2 weeks.
Oh, how about we tell people who we are before we do that?
Oh, that's fair too.
Okay.
I am Cheron and I'm in North Carolina.
I'm Tasha. I'm in Baltimore, Maryland. I mean, no, I'm not.
You are not in Baltimore, Maryland.
I'm in Bowie, Maryland.
And we are the accountability queens. And what we do is we've been accountability partners for over 9 years now, and we have helped each other reach such significant goals in our life, mental, spiritual, relationship, financial, and it's been great. And so what we do is we help other folks find their ideal accountability partner and also help them set up a successful accountability relationship.
Yes.
Yes. You see how I said that? Oh,
you did good tonight. And so, we do these chats every week. We've been on a 2-week hiatus, but it's just an opportunity for us to highlight some other great, amazing women and talk about accountability in lots of different areas of life. So we've guests joining us on Facebook Live and YouTube Live. And I wanted to let everyone know that I'm watching the comments. So please give us a shout out. Let us know where you're listening from. I'm sure that our faithful crew is here tonight. Nice to see you, Gail, again this evening. So I'm watching the comments and I'll shout you out if you shout me out.
All right, so now let's talk about where we've been for the past 2 weeks and what's been going on.
Whew. So, as we've talked about, I guess starting back in August, I'm working on an MBA, and this was my first semester back in school in 20 years, and it's been a lot. And I have finals coming up on Monday,
Mm-hmm.
and there was pressure. There was a lot going on in my life, and I just needed a little break, right? And you offered it to me. You said, well, how about we take a break? And I was like, no. We're going to press through. I'm going to do this. We're committed.
Yeah.
Like the next day I came back and I was like, well,
I
think it might.
Remember when you had said,
I think I need a little break. And so, in a relationship, I think it's one of the things that we talk about. It's, allowing grace. And I think it's important. And I'm grateful to have somebody that knows me and knows that I am going to just push until I fall over to say, Tasha, maybe we should take a break. And so I appreciate you for that.
Listen, my pleasure. I remember going for, I guess that was the second master's. And I remember I was only taking one class at a time, but just working full time and trying to take care of myself and taking classes. And heck, when I did it for my first one, it was ridiculous. My second one, I was like, I'm never doing more than one class at a time. I don't care how long it takes. So when you popped up this year, said you wanted to do 3, I said, okay, you sure?
Yeah.
You sure that's what you want to do?
Okay. I got through 3. We're only going to go 2 from now on out. But I definitely needed the break. I feel refreshed. I'm looking forward to Monday being over. And having an extended break. But the break was good. And I see some comments coming in. We replayed a chat that we had done previously. And so our viewers enjoyed watching the replay, the rewind.
Yeah, Tiffy is always good. Tiffy will be back. Tiffy will be back definitely with some more good news about what's going on and how to manage your money for sure.
Yep. We got Renee joining us from Las Vegas tonight. Hi, Renee.
Hey, Renee.
And Keith is on.
Hey, Keith. So good to see Keith.
Yeah.
So let's get into who we're talking to tonight. Come on. I'm excited about this conversation.
I'm so excited, right?
I am.
Yeah, the time is now and we've come to collect. We're talking about strong women. So tonight, our guest has been serving for 22 years in the Georgia State Senate, representing Georgia's 55th district. She is the highest ranking female in the Georgia State Senate and has held leadership positions for every year of those 22 years that she's been serving.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
Sponsored and co-sponsored lots of important legislation in Georgia. And she's a mother. She is a grandmother. She is a great grandmother. And most importantly, tonight, she is my auntie. So I'm so happy to have with us this evening Senator Gloria Butler.
Come on, let's get Senator Butler into the studio. Good afternoon, Senator Butler. Good evening, Senator Butler. How are you?
It's great to be here. I'm having a little trouble understanding what you're saying, but I'll try to read your lips.
We're going to do our best. We're going to do our best. We're sorry to hear that. So Senator Butler, Georgia is in a runoff. And first off, congratulations. Before we get into any of the foolishness that's happening, congratulations on your new appointment. Well-deserved, job well done. You make us all proud.
Let me correct you on one thing. It's not an appointment. It's an elected position, and I was elected by my colleagues. So it's an honorable position to be elected by your colleagues.
Absolutely. Congratulations to that. Again, you make us all very proud.
Thank you.
And so in Georgia, it's clearly the state that everyone is watching. Mm-hmm. And we're in the midst of, you all are in the midst of a runoff, or we're in the midst of the runoff with you. Tell us what it's like, what's going on, and what's at stake in this runoff election.
Well, what's going on is a lot of ugly ads on TV that everybody is burned out with. Some of them are not true. Most of them are not true, actually. The ones that are done by the candidate themselves are pretty good. And what's at stake for this country is the fact that if Georgia wins both of those seats, then the Democrats are in charge. And we will have a Democratic president and a Democratic vice president. And all of those things are important to move this country forward, to get some things done. And hopefully we will turn out in record numbers, just as we did for President-elect Joe Biden.
So we are all with you and definitely praying and pushing and reminding our friends and family that are in Georgia to make sure that they are registered to vote. Hopefully they already are, because they voted for the president, but that they get out on, is it January 7th?
January 5th.
January 5th.
Yes.
Right.
And sometimes, people don't return in runoffs, but hopefully they will come back and do the right thing, get these two senators, Democratic senators, elected.
I hope so.
Hope so.
So let's talk about your job. You are an elector, which is a very important position as well. When we talk about the presidential election, why is it important, and especially important for this election?
Well, because we want the control of the Senate. And electors' main goal is to vote President-elect Joe Biden and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris. We don't take it lightly. It's actually an honor to be able to vote the president in. How many people get to do that?
I know.
Right.
I know one.
You know one, and I know one. And actually, I know 14 others now. But I never knew I could do that. Of course, you don't pay attention to the full process because you're so involved in your own process of getting yourself elected. Fortunately for me this time, I didn't have an opponent. So I was able to but breeze right through it and help some other people. So back to the electors, though. If an elector does not vote for the person that he or she has pledged to vote for, it's a possibility they could be fined because you have to take a pledge.
Mm.
Oh,
The pledge to vote for that candidate of your choice. You don't just get up there and vote without giving something.
got it.
Yeah. So most assuredly, though, if you have an elector that does not vote the way they pledge, they won't get to do that honor again.
Right.
You can
Wow.
rest assured on that. They'll be done with voting for any president.
Wow.
Well, we sure hope that doesn't happen.
I hope it doesn't happen either.
So, Senator Butler, what can you tell? What does the average person not understand about your job?
One of the first things, they think I work in Washington, which I do not. I work in Georgia. And some other things, I think sometimes elected officials make the job look easy, but it's not as easy as it may look. For instance, I have 56 of us. And so we got 55 other members that you have to work with. And that is not an easy job.
Right.
There are some in my caucus, some in the Republican caucus. It's only 22 of us. We just increased our numbers by 1, which is a big deal. We're all excited about that. And if you're going to work with both sides of the aisle, then it's really important that you build relationships, not just with your colleagues on the other side of the aisle, but with those folk that come to the Capitol and want something or bring you something that you can use in your work. It's really important to have those relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing I would say, it takes 29 votes to pass a bill. Now, I just told you it's 22 members in my caucus. So what does that mean? I need 7 votes.
Yeah.
And one thing you got to know how to do is count. So that means those relationships are golden when it comes to passing bills. So those are, some of the things that people may not understand about the job.
So speaking of coming to the Capitol, how easy is it for the average citizen to affect tangible change in government? Can they just come to your office and say, Senator Butler, I'd like to see this happen, and what happens after that?
They can come and say that to me, and I can work towards that goal. But the other thing they can do, when there is legislation that they want to see passed, they can come in and testify in committees when that legislation comes up. They can visit not just me, but other members as well. Those pieces of legislation have to go through a committee, and they can talk to each one of those committee members and let them know how important it is to get that piece of legislation passed. And that's how our citizenry makes a difference when it comes to passing legislation and getting things done. Mm-hmm. Their voices are very, very important because they have a vote. Every single member will listen to one of their constituents. All you have to do is call on the phone and say, I'm one of your constituents. They will listen.
Okay.
To you.
So that brings us to a very interesting point that we were excited to talk about, is that Black women have been the most loyal Democratic voting bloc since the 1960s. Mm-hmm. And there's an op-ed that was in the Washington Post that said, for the loyalty that we've given, the repayment has been insufficient funds. Now this year, it seems to be a little bit different. What do you think the Democratic Party has finally heard that maybe they weren't paying attention to before?
I think the Democratic Party has always heard it. But, it always starts at the top. You've got to have good leadership. You've got to have a process in place where you can reach the people. And I think in the past few years, we have gotten to that point where we're able to reach the people. The people have gotten more involved anyway in the last 4 years because of what's happening in Washington. Mm-hmm. And they can see the difference in things really happening and things not happening. So I think that the party has done a better job in getting to the people. And the people are listening. And they're moving. They're working. They're excited about being involved.
Nice. So speaking of women, let's talk about the difference between the male experience in politics and the female experience in, public service. What's been your experience, and what can you share about what you've seen in your tenure?
Well, when we think about leadership, men have always been in charge, and they have always taken the leadership positions. So, that's just the way it was, but no more. That is changing.
Yes.
We are on top of that, which brings us to the fact that women, especially Black women, have been grossly underrepresented in our political system for decades. I think Cheron just made mention of that. We've only ever had 57 women in the U.S. Senate. We are 51% of the population. So why is that? We should be the highest number in the U.S. Senate, U.S. House, and in our states.
Right.
And so I think, right now the voices of women have our country's population. We don't have equal representation. And so we are going to have to step up to the plate. Continue to step up to the plate because we've already started that. It is up to us to change it. If we want to see women properly represented, especially in leadership, as I said, we've got to step up and make it happen. And we do that as women by supporting the women that want to run. We have to encourage them. We've got to help them raise money. We've got to work on their campaigns. We've got to do all of those things if we want to see more women in leadership and get elected, not just in leadership, but just get elected.
So when you came into office 22 years ago, who were your role models, your mentors? Inevitably, there are always older stateswomen who come in and help guide the way. Who was it that did it for you?
Well, because I had the privilege of working in the Congress for a congresswoman, I had access to not only other women besides my congresswoman, I had access to someone else that I even knew that was in the Congress that I knew from Daytona Beach, which is my home. And that was Carrie Meeks, if you remember her.
I do. Mm-hmm.
Her best friend lived across the street from where I grew up. And I could see her just about any time because they went to school at Bethune-Cookman. And so I followed her. As a matter of fact, when I did finally go to DC and I saw her and I said to her, "Do you know how long it's been?" And she said, "Yeah, 30 years. So I was really excited that she even remembered that and remembered me. And I don't know why she wouldn't remember me. She saw me for every day for nearly 4 years as she went to school. So, and they used to come over to my parents' house and visit. So, for a long time, I had that to guide me. Not that I was going to ever be in politics, but just to see those two women go to college and finish college and do the things that they were doing. I was in a dance group, and my neighbor was my dance teacher. And so all of that has a bearing on what you eventually do in your adult life. At least I think so.
Are there women that you mentor right now?
Some of my colleagues are younger in their careers in the legislature. And yes, I do mentor them. I try as hard as I can to bring them along, tell them about things that have happened in the past, and we don't want to repeat those things, and the kinds of things that they can do to make a difference in our caucus, in the legislature. And actually, they listen.
Good.
They depend on my wisdom. I hear that all the time. And so it's a great honor to be able to help those that are coming along now. We have 4 new women that are coming into our caucus, although they are new in the seats. The seats were ours. We only have 1 seat that we have gained, but nonetheless, there are 4 new women. And so I'm looking forward to helping them and guiding them along the way, and hopefully that they'll take heed to that. As a matter of fact, we have a phone call next week to do a little, I don't want to call it schooling, but getting them up to speed.
Okay.
So that they'll be ready on that first day, which is January 11th. So
very nice.
Yeah, we have a short time now to get those women up to speed so they can be the best that they can be.
I've got a follow-up question to that, but I just want to make sure the audience knows that I'm watching the chat. So if you guys have any questions for Senator Butler, just drop them in. So speaking of the getting up to speed call, one of the things that Cheron and I were talking about, and it plays out in any professional atmosphere, is presentation, right? The way you dress and the way you look when people see you and that sort of things. And we talked about men can buy a black suit and a blue suit and a gray suit and be good to go for a year, right? They just switch up the ties, which is less expensive. For women, it's not as easy, I feel like, for us to wear the same thing week after week, right? Guys do it all the time. Do women in the Senate have those sort of frank conversations about, how you need to dress or how you have to present yourself in order to be, I don't want to say to be respected, but, to, I don't know, what's the word I'm looking to be respected, right?
To present well. Present well.
Women critique each other more than the men do.
Indeed.
The men can see us in the same thing and you look good every time. But women see us in the same thing and say, she had that on last week or yesterday. And so I think the women in the Georgia Senate really step up to the plate when it comes to dressing. We've got some great dresses in our Senate.
Okay.
We don't spare the coins. We just, we get what we need. We look good every day. And we walk the walk, we talk the talk, and we look like it.
Very good.
Yeah. And that question came from, I think, AOC out of New York talked about how when she finally came into office, the reality is she was just a regular person like Tasha and I, and didn't necessarily have a lot of money. And so she was truly grassroots. And so she depended on the elder stateswomen to sort of, because they came in and helped her out, they saved her a bit. when she had to present herself, because because if you look good, you feel good. She didn't have it. And so that's where our question came from. Do you see that when young senators come in, that they have that challenge?
I have not seen that on the Senate side. I have a little bit on the House side, but hopefully that will change over time. But we know how to shop, though. We know where the shops are. We know where the sales are. And so we don't hesitate to get out there and get what we need.
Especially my auntie.
Absolutely. Well, I got it honest. My mother did it. She taught us how to do it. Your mother does it too, Tasha.
Yes, she does. I know. So let me ask, I haven't seen any questions from the audience just yet, but I'm going to just ask one other question. You've been in politics for 22 years. Is there anything that you want to share with our audience about the perception of politicians? I mean, some people think that politicians, are not truthful, or, that you might tell them something, but they're still going to go in and do whatever it is that, benefits the person that's paying the money, right? Donating to their campaign and that sort of thing. Is there anything, from a, just a constituent standpoint, or just regular folks that you want us to know about politicians and you specifically?
Well, you know what? Nobody's ever offered me a dime. Not one dime, not one time. The only money I get is for my campaign, and I can't use that for myself. And so I have to rely on that little salary that I get every month. And I think that as women, we don't get as caught up in that kind of a thing as we've seen in men. And I don't want to beat the men up, but they are sometimes they're out there more than the women are. And so women don't get caught up in those things. We keep our eyes on the prize, on the goal. We had a reason for getting elected, and we stick to that. We get in that path and we stay there. We told our constituency that we were going to the Capitol to make a difference. And I think that's what most legislators do anyway. They don't go there to make money. They go to take care of their constituency and make a difference back in their districts, in their cities.
Well, I have to say, sadly, Tasha and I lived in Baltimore, and we love Baltimore because we met in Baltimore. We've had family friends now in Baltimore, and unfortunately,
I know.
It's a different case from women in leadership in Baltimore.
Yeah, there's a different case, a couple times. It's a different case.
We have a couple questions from the audience. Senator Butler, what do you want to achieve this term for Georgia?
Well, since I've been elected as the Senate Democratic Caucus leader, I want to make sure that my caucus is unified. I want us to work together, stay together. There are times when we have to take a position on those really tough issues. And I want us to be a team when we have to take that vote. I want to be that person that my caucus members can depend on, that person that can help them. For instance, if you want a certain committee, you want to sit on a certain committee, I want to be that person that can help you do that. I want to be that person that you can rely on for whatever it is you want and need in the legislature. And so I'm looking forward to my new position. I was the chair for 2 years, and along with the previous leader, we were able to unify our team more and better. And I hope to continue that.
Very nice.
I have a question. Now, given that this country has become so polarizing, and there are even Republicans across the country kind of advocating for Republicans not to vote in this runoff election, which I don't fully understand the strategy behind that. How easy or difficult will it be for you to work across the aisle in the next 4 years?
Well, it hasn't been really hard for me to work across the aisle anyway. I'm very well respected in the Georgia legislature, not just in the Senate. It's just the fact that for 22 years, I had to have garnered some relationships. Shame on me if I didn't. And
Yeah.
so it's not going to be hard for me to work across the aisle. You know, there are always those backroom deals, and I have to keep my eyes peeled on those kinds of things. But I think I'll be able to work with all of the members. Not every single one of them, because nothing is 100%. But overall, I think I'll be able to make a difference and do some good things in the Senate. And, you know, I want to go back to one question we had about men and women, the difference in how we work. As a Black female in a leadership position, I'm expected, or not just me, to give 150%. And I've already mentioned this to some of my white colleagues, that more will be expected of me than it would be of my white counterpart, because I'm a Black female. It would feel like I've all of a sudden gotten on this one woman band, and I've got to prove myself beyond a shadow of a doubt that I can do this job.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, you know, a man could be in the same position, and that same thing would not apply to him. People would just know, oh, he can do it.
Mm-hmm.
But for a woman, it's a little different.
Got the amen corner in the comments. They say, "Tell it, Senator Butler." That's right.
It is right.
Well, we don't have any more questions in the comments.
Oh.
So then it comes to the point in our show where we do a rapid fire kind of inside the actor studio, where Tasha will ask you 11 questions that we ask all our guests, and allows us to get to know you just a bit better. So I'm excited and I'm looking forward to this. So here you go. Go ahead, Tasha.
All right. Aunt Gloria?
Yes.
Your favorite word?
Choice.
What's your least favorite word?
No.
What turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
Creatively, actually, I did some writing today, getting ready for your show. And I love it when I start to write and the ideas just keep coming. So that reminded me of just being on point. It just happening.
Mm-hmm.
Creatively, I like it when I can engineer things. You know, something that I don't really know about, and I can engineer it and get it done. And then spiritually, a good sermon.
Amen.
Just give me a good sermon.
And what turns you off?
Negativity.
What is your favorite curse word?
What the hell?
All right. What sound or noise do you love?
I love some good music. Motown stuff and I like rock and roll. I like just about all kinds of music, actually.
Okay. And what sound or noise do you hate?
A squeaky voice.
Don't name any names.
No names.
What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
None anymore.
Okay.
Since I've been in politics, I thought about having been an attorney.
Mm-hmm. I can see that. And what profession would you not like to attempt?
Being a nurse.
Mm.
That's hard, especially especially now. I don't think I could take it as a nurse with this pandemic.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Who or what holds you accountable?
Well, I like to do a good job at whatever I'm doing. And my self accountability is key. And then I want my family to be proud of me. And so I'm always going to work really hard to get whatever I'm doing, get it done. My slogan for my campaign was Gloria gets the job done.
All right.
Okay.
Proud of you. If you believe in heaven, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Come on in.
Come on in.
That's all I want is come
Party
on
over here.
and I will go right in.
Nice.
Amen. Amen.
Well, it's been a pleasure. I appreciate you joining us tonight, taking time out of your schedule and doing yet another Zoom call for us.
Okay. I've loved it. I've enjoyed
Yes.
it.
Your niece out in Las Vegas says we are very proud of you, Auntie.
Oh, thank you. Is that Renee?
Renee, yep.
Oh, wow.
Well, it has been a pleasure having you this week. Thank you for everyone who tuned in to watch. Thank you for being patient with us while we were on a break for 2 weeks. We do have our show scheduled for next week. Tasha, do you want to talk about next week?
Yeah, we do. We have it's how to lose weight and learn to fly.
Yes.
So, another wonderful lady who has, just made an awesome change in her life and, not letting any situations get her down. And she is, really soaring and just living the dream. And so we're going to talk to her about, how she did it and how she got through. And
But to be clear, to be clear, she got a divorce.
yeah, it's not like losing like physical weight, but it's like weight in your life. Right?
She lost some weight in life and then she began to fly. So we're not advocating divorce, but we do understand sometimes things happen and there's life after it.
There you go.
There you go. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. It's been a pleasure. We will see you guys next week. And follow us. Please follow us. Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. We're all there. See you guys next week.
All right. Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.